Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome to The Print. I have with me today Ambassador of Germany to India, Ambassador Walter J. Lindner. Welcome to The Print. Ambassador, to understand from you today, I understand recently Germany, the cabinet has approved the first Indo-Pacific strategy this time, and Germany is probably the second country after France to have an independent Indo-Pacific strategy. Could you shed some light on that, please?
Yes, sure, Nayani Machi. It's good to be on The Print again, and it's good to be back here again. Yes, indeed. Yesterday, our cabinet has approved for the first time or adopted political policy guidelines for the Indo-Pacific region. Of course, we have already some guidelines towards Latin America, towards Africa, and the transatlantic, but we have never had anything comparable to the Indo-Pacific region. And you're right, it is our French partners, they have something like that. And I think Australia and Japan too, but of course they are in the region. Now, we are the only two European countries which have this strategy, but we are working together with the French that we adopt also something similar as European Union, so that we have a broader base there. And you know, of course, we have good relationship with all of the countries in that particular region, but I think this is now a new step forward because it puts a framework to the whole cooperation. It is a 12-pager, so it's not too long, and it defines our interests in the region, fair enough, and then principles, and then initiatives, or how to implement, or how to get to the goals there. And the basic idea behind this was, of course, that the region has become, Indo-Pacific region, become increasingly more important, economically, politically, for several reasons. First, it's of course it's the place where you have almost half of the world population is living. So this is a huge area, and then you have 40% of the global GDP is produced in the area. Then you have very important economic powers like China, India, Japan, also in the area. But so these are also chances, but also challenges. You have nuclear powers from India to Pakistan to China and North Korea and others. And you have tensions, you have borders, disputes, you have a lot of challenges also. So this is both a region with a lot of chances and a lot of challenges. And we as Germany, we can feel the repercussions of all of this. We are a huge, one of the biggest world trading partners and trading nations. So for us, the peace, stability in the region, and especially with the supply chains around the world, is of very importance. And then let me finish with that. There is no problem in this world can be solved without India, because it's so big and it's so relevant for all these global challenges like climate change, like biodiversity, just to name a few. We need a cooperation there, and I think the gist of the whole paper is that we need a rule-based, multilateralism-based cooperation. There is no way that bully countries or hegemonial countries should have their way. The right of the stronger should not have their way. It's important that we have rules which are based on international agreements, and this we should follow, all of us.
Mm-hmm. So if I can ask you, Ambassador, this Indo-Pacific strategy that Germany has come out with now, why now and why not earlier? And also the fact that, do you think, is it right to say that probably the bilateral relationship between Germany and China, and also European Union and China, is having a kind of a shift? What would you like to say on that?
Well, you see, this strategy paper is not against any nation or against someone. It's an expression of diversification. So we have to have a multifaceted, multipolar system where there's not one ruler, one who dominates the area or the region just because they are big. It's important that we base things on rules, on real rules. So again, it's not directed against any nation. No, it's not. But it is, of course, especially relevant for all our democratic partners like India, like others, who are interested in the same rule-based system.
Correct. To also understand right now, as you can see, Japan, Australia, and many others, including ASEAN and India, they're looking at an alternate creation of an alternate supply chain mechanism, supply chain lines, global value chains. Is Germany also looking at creating alternate supply chains?
I think through the pandemic now, but not only through the pandemic, but it has highlighted, I guess, our dependence on global supply chains. And we have to reduce our dependency on just one country or two countries. We have to open up. And I guess that's what India is also doing. We have this, the pandemic has also opened our eyes that we need to diversify our supply mechanisms. And it also has highlighted how much we depend on each other, on free trade, on a stable environment. Now, if you see 90% of the world trade is done through ship on the sea, 90% containers. Now, we have the highest interest as Germany, as Europe, the highest interest in keeping these trade lines open, not threatened by piracy, not threatened by nations which would set up some special rules. No, we have international law of the sea and these kind of things. So that's why for us it's important to keep all this open and to let everyone blossom with this. And I think this is also one of the messages there. We need free trade, and we have to ensure all together that this is respected. That's why we are participating in all these endeavors, be it through international agreement or bilaterally. So I think that's also a road which is shared by the Indians.
So tell me, Ambassador, I understand the Chinese foreign minister was on a trip to Europe recently, and he met your foreign minister, Minister Heiko Maas, and there was this discussion on this Hong Kong security law, and there was a difference of opinion. How do you see that impacting the bilateral relationship at this point of time, presently, when we are seeing how China is becoming aggressive relatively?
Well, we've seen he has been the Chinese foreign minister has been on a trip through Europe, and wherever he was, I guess the message was pretty much the same. We were not beating around the bush, and if you have seen the press conference of our foreign minister, he has clearly mentioned our disagreement which was happening in Hong Kong, and some other bilateral issues and other issues of human rights. And of course, expectedly, the Chinese foreign minister has raised his objections against this, but we have made it clear what's our opinion, and we said it clear. And to Hong Kong, of course, we said that anything which threatens the principle of one nation, two people, is two systems, is not acceptable. And so the language was very clear and open.
Mm-hmm. So if I can ask you, at this point of time, you are observing what is happening between India and China and the tensions that are constantly going on at the line of actual control, especially in the Ladakh sector since the month of May. There had been this clash at the Galwan Valley for the first time in last 45 years. There had been bloodshed. India lost 20 of its soldiers. Reports coming in again. There were some clashes last month on the 31st, 29th and 30th as well. How is Germany viewing this development, whatever is happening between India and China?
Well, as most of the world, and as surely our French and the European partners, we see this with we are worried, because it's the two biggest nations of this planet are there standing on the other side, or opposite each other. And not only that, but it's 1.4 billion people on both sides, but they're also nuclear powers. So it's the elephant and a dragon. best is if Elephant and Dragon, they sit together and find solutions for this, because it's very highly dangerous. It's not something should be taken lightheartedly, but we have some confidence that on both sides there should be politicians who take this into account and do the necessary steps to ease tensions. That's what we want.
So you believe there should be more discussions between these two countries to resolve the matter? Am I right?
I don't say it's not enough. I just say I don't know how many discussions are happening there. This is up to the Indians and the Chinese. But I'm hoping there are discussions to see that they find ways to ease the tensions, because with a clash or confrontation there, this is in no interest of nobody, and it has the danger of being a bigger conflict. And the last thing we need in this world is more conflicts. We need less conflicts, and that's why we have to do all we can to help getting this number down.
Mm-hmm. Also, Ambassador, I do understand there is this plan that Germany wants to hold, probably host a summit where you would want to invite Chinese President Xi Jinping later this year. What is happening to that? Is that summit going to take place? What is it that will be the agenda of that summit?
Yeah, Germany has the presidency at the moment of the European Council, so that's why we are together with the Commission there in the forefront of shaping this agenda. Yes, it was since long planned to have a meeting between a summit between the Chinese government, president, and the European Commission and the European Union. It was foreseen for taking place, I guess, in September in Leipzig. I'm not aware what's the latest on this schedule, whether it's postponed or it's still there. What I've heard, it should not be physical, it should be a digital summit. But I think it's important to have a summit because China is such a huge factor in world politics and in economy. One has to talk. One has to talk. Talks are very important, and it's a very big factor. And we rather talk with each other than about each other.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, Ambassador, I would need to also understand Germany is this huge export market. You have this high-tech exports, your auto exports. You're a world leader in that. Now, at this point of time, I'm sure, and after the pandemic especially, you would need a bigger market like China, and you would also need India. You can see the kind of backlash that's happening within India against Chinese companies. India has banned some of Chinese apps. Even Chinese foreign direct investment has to come through the government route. So from Germany's point of view, from business and trade point of view, how do you see this panning out in the future?
Well, you see, as a trade nation, you trade with a lot of countries. You don't have to share their political systems. Now with China, we have a rivalry in political systems. They're not our enemies, but they are rivals, competitors in our political systems. We have different systems. We believe in democracy, as India does, but it doesn't prevent us from trading. But of course, so with these trade regulations, we need a WTO level play field, and we have to have good rules which are respected around the globe. If this is done, of course, in our trade, we also have points of our human rights issues and other issues which we always continuously raise. But as many other nations around the globe, we are trying to convince our partners through our good products. If they are bought, these good products, and if this is ethical correct, we do this. Otherwise, if you only could do trade with those nations which are your closest friends, then it will be very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Ambassador Lindner, thank you so much for talking to The Print. You please take care.
You're very welcome. See you soon.